very poor first half, I feel. Uh, didn't get into any sort of rhythm. I find both teams at the start of the game started in a way that you knew both teams were low in confidence, and it was a mistake, a very big mistake that gave Finland the lead. Just playing, just Liam Scales passed the ball back to Nathan Collins. Didn't seem any danger. Makes a complete mess of it. In the past, he's going to. I think he's obviously back to Scales, what he wants to do. Can't legislate for that type of mistake, Paul. Gives the Finnish goal scorer a chance, and he buries it. And inside 18 minutes, we're 1-0 down, and you felt then that this is show the character now of this Irish team because we're after coming back after two losses in the first game, England and Greece, both games at home. This is our first away game. Look, the stadium I think was only less than half full at the time, so there wasn't a rush or atmosphere at all. But they were 1-0 down. Finland had one or two half chances to make it 2-0, and we got in at half time. And from what I know, Paul, there was a few boos coming from the Irish fans when they were coming in off the pitch at 1-0 down. Uh, that doesn't necessarily always happen. The Irish supporters are very loyal supporters, but even at that stage, even though it's loyal Irish supporters, they spent good money going out there to Finland, and they're seen utter. I won't say what, but in the first half, it just wasn't good enough. And I think it was mentioned that Robbie Brady didn't like it. And I think he came out with a man possessed in the second half. He was very poor, I felt, in the first half. There were a few opportunities where he could have crossed the ball, didn't hit the first man. And I don't think he played very well in the first half. But I have to say, in the second half, the whole team, Paul, whatever was said at half time, and I'm supposed to give credit to the manager here. We've always been critical, maybe at the start of the second half, and we get on to maybe the Greece game later on. When the second half, once it started, Ireland came out different team altogether, pressed up on the finish at defence. Well, look, these guys are no great shakes. They've lost two games like us. We need to get in around, so a bit more aggressive. And it was that ball. There wasn't any great, free flowing football. It was just old school football. Like we scored from a good set piece from Robbie Brady, great delivery into the box. New Scales get his head on and 1-1. And at that moment, we felt, Ireland have the momentum here. Now, we did give away a chance. Camara, I think his name is, he should have scored, ball just a few minutes after that. I think he just blazed it over the bar. And they also had a free kick where a good header, just literally goes inches past the post at 1-1. And then Festi Abaselli, who came on, who made a difference in the second half. Good work down the right hand side. Good ball at the back post. And there's Robbie Brady. Good touch. And he drives into the back of the net at 2-1. And you can see the relief from these Irish players because they haven't won. This was the first victory in the Nations League ever away from home. We've had Martin O'Neill, we've had Stephen Kinney. Boheimer did it in his first match. So that was a monkey off their back, Paul, because they've been, as you said yourself, we haven't won away from home against a decent opposition. I know like Gibraltar was the last time we won in the qualifiers. That's Gibraltar, to be fair. We didn't do anything against France or the Dutch or Greece, as we know ourselves. So it was good to get at least someone at our level, Paul, at least to beat them away from home because, we'd come into this camp with two losses at home. This was probably the lowest Irish football has been for a long time, and I've seen some bad days as well. I'm sure you remember the bad days back in the past as well. So, and these players, look, they hear it. A lot of people say this is probably one of the worst groups of players we've had in a long time. They hear all of that. It's all negativity. So we were saying if we could get a win, any win at all, perhaps in the Finnish game, which is probably more realistic at this moment of time. And they did. They held on. They won 2-1. That's the great thing about scoring late goal, Paul. It doesn't give the opposition much time to get back. I think there were 3 or 4 minutes at a time. We saw it out, and look, it was a great win. And I think it will boost the confidence. I know we'll get back to the game in a few minutes, but that win was massive. I know what you think. Any monkey off the back, first away win the Nations League, any 3 points because we were saying to ourselves, we just need a win. The performance, yes, we can improve, always improve. But the fact is, Ireland have probably played better in some other games and not getting any result at all. So to get that result 2-1, there's a monkey off the back. It will boost the confidence, and it'll help us now in the battle to avoid relegation because we're not out of it yet. Because I think the third place team has to play a playoff with a team from League C, the runners up in the League C group. So we're not out of it yet, but it gives us a good chance now of avoiding relegation. And the Finnish didn't have to come to Dublin, probably beat us by maybe if it goes to head to head, they probably have to beat us by 2 goals. And I don't see Finland get any results in the game after that. I think they have
Yeah,
to play Greece
I
as
suppose
well.
all I can
So
say, the old saying, a win is a win is a win. Badly wanted, as you said. The confidence was rock bottom, but that will lift the confidence, that will lift the belief. Now we have to be realistic. It was only the first step, but as I always say, no, if you're traveling 100 miles, you have to take the first step. So I think it's the first step in the lift of confidence. There is still a lack of quality, but look, that will maybe come away slowly. You bring in younger players, under 21s, etc. But it was just to get that bit of confidence and come from a goal down to score 2 goals in the second half. Now Finland are no great shakes, but a win is a win is a win. So I will take it from that, the confidence, and maybe hopefully they will believe in themselves and come back into them and go back to the clubs a little bit and look forward to the next window in next month in November. But there is a lack of quality there. There's no doubt about it. But hopefully it was the first step. And it was great to see it. So fantastic to get that win and delighted, as you said, for the supporters. We know how long go to the matches, but particularly away from home, travelling up to Finland or whatever you're travelling to. It's time consuming, it's expensive, trains, planes, automobiles, as the man says, bicycles, whatever you get there. So
yeah,
they deserve some little bit of praise. So well done. First step in a long journey in lifting the confidence and lifting the belief. So no, we'll just move on now to last night. So I'm thinking now here out to Greece. Now, in fairness, Greece are a far superior team to Finland. They had a fantastic victory over England at Wembley, which I never saw coming. Very few
yeah,
people saw it. And so that was the result 2-0. I thought Greece had a fine team. So what are your thoughts on that game this night?
yeah. Big full house, Paul. Obviously, the Greece players, very emotional night for them. Their teammate, Baldock, died there less than a week ago now. Very, very sad. Sad. He was only 31 years of age. I think the people would said he would have been in the squad if it wasn't for injury. So very, very sad news. And that drove on the team against England. And we were thinking maybe, well, it would be understandable that they put in so much effort into the England game, emotional. You see players crying on the pitch because literally, some of these players are playing for his club as well. So it was very, very hard on them. But I have to say they responded in the way that you would want a team to respond if something like that happens. Adversity, they got the job done against England. Very good performance. And last night, full house, and they really were up for it. They were really now. It's not just because they're of the circumstances they found. Greece have been on the up for the last 18 months. They got out of League C under Gus Pyatt. They put in a really good showing in the qualifiers last time out with the Euros. Much better showing than we did. We just twice home and away, and they gave France and the Dutch much better games than we did. And they only lost out on the playoff away to Georgia and Tbilisi in a penalty shootout. So they had been making steady progress over the last year and a half, and you could tell by that they're used to winning, Paul. They're particularly in the Nations League, they're a very good record in it. Played well in the first half. We're very lucky not to be 1 or 2-0 down in the first half, Paul, to be quite honest with you. Stephen Keller saved us numerous times. We're backs to the wall. Now we're all fighting for each other as well, Paul, to be quite honest with you. Some good defending, some good blocks. But we've mentioned it countless times.
Yes,
and I think
nil at half time, wouldn't it?
that's 0-0 at half time, and the 48th minute in, we can see the goal. Bit unfortunate way went it. It was like I think someone has. I think was it Dame Delaney on television last night. He mentioned that he thinks our front back four are dropping too deep, and our midfielders are pressing. So there's that little gap in between, where Greece and most teams are finding a little bit of space. I find we need to push up a little bit on the back at the back four. Need to push up, or at least more connection with our midfields, because that a pocket of space is happening all the time. And I find Scales was a little bit unlucky, Paul, because he went out. We've been criticising the team not going out and try and get a block. He did. Unfortunately, it just I don't know. It hits off part of his leg, loops up a bit over Kelleher and into the back of the net. I think Kelleher would have saved it if it wasn't to get that slight little deflection. But I think Greece deserved the ball, to be quite honest with you. They weren't playing much the better football. We were sort of hanging on there in the first half, as I said. and you get your
No, can I come
rewards, and
in
then
there, Noel? We have spoken
yeah,
this 4 or 5 times, the
yeah,
5, 10 minutes after half time. This isn't the first time. This is at least
no,
the third, it's the fourth time. Now, I can't understand inside in the dressing room. Right, you were 0-0 at half time. Greece had dominated the first half, but the message should be loud and clear. The Greece were going to throw the kitchen sink to get a goal early in the second half. It was
yeah,
obvious that Greece were going to tire, which they did in the last 15, 20 minutes. So they were going to throw everything at us to get a goal in the first 5 minutes. And it should have been driven into each player. And they should know themselves, the leaders of the team, the management should have driven into them that Greece are going to throw the kitchen sink to get an early goal. And once again, we look, a goal come, but you have to stop that. These are the differences, Noel. And this has happened 3, 4 times before. It's not the first time. And they don't seem to be learning. It was so disappointing to see it again. And it wasn't like they cut us apart with a brilliant passing movement. Yeah, it was a good strike in fairness to him. But still, I cannot understand. And what really annoys me, Noel, none of the so-called pundits, professional players, ex-players, managers even talk about this. How many times
well,
it happens? It's the championship minutes. How many times the team concede just after half time? It drives me absolutely for professional players. It really annoys me.
well, to be fair, Paul, it has been mentioned that it was mentioned last night, and it's been mentioned a couple of times. It is something that other people are talking. It's not just yourself, Paul. You've always mentioned it. You say championship minutes, the minutes before halftime, the minutes after halftime. We can get on to the second goal at the end of the game when you're chasing a 1-0 this deficit. The most important thing is don't give the opponent a goal for 2-0.
But no,
We're
just
gonna
inside the dressing room. Why don't the leaders in the team? They should have players caught up by the throat, warning them that this was going to
yeah.
happen. Anyone, as the old saying goes, Stevie Wonder could see this was going to happen. Greece were going to throw the kitchen sink at them at the start of the second half.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, like they do themselves in the first half and the first minute even. The Greece were uh, uh, getting on top. I mean, if you look at there was I think I don't like quoting stats, but I think after 20 minutes there was 10 attempts to two in the first half. So Greece were having majority of the possession. Now, obviously, Ireland tried to do a bit of counter attacking when they could, but they were being pegged back into their own half for numerous times. There was no real out ball. Ferguson, I don't want to be getting onto, but I know he's always just coming back, but he wasn't able to hold up the ball that much. Tried Paris. I felt maybe there was a lot of people mentioned before the start of the game. We had a very attacking minded team, but whether they'll get enough possession to utilize that. Semi Smolik was starting, Troy Parrott was starting, Evan Ferguson was starting. Uh, uh, those two of those players in the Premier League, obviously, Paris is in doing okay. It is at Alkmaar in the Dutch league. So there is players that can score goals, but we don't get enough possessions. Like Semi Smolik, he's a man that likes obviously he was top goal scorer in the championship last season. He's gone to Ipswich now. We haven't really been able to give him any bit of a chance to score goals. Now he had one half chance against Finland where Scales knocks it down and he gets a flick to it. But he hasn't been able to really get many chances in the game. You hardly know he's playing because he's doing so much work off the ball, so much defending. He hasn't been able to really, we haven't had enough of the ball, Paul, to really utilize him in areas that he can be very, very, very effective. And it's for a man that's used to scoring goals, this is probably the longest period now he's gone for a goal in a long time, particularly when compared to last season. So yeah, Paul, the championship minutes, they've been mentioned numerous times. We've said it, not just us saying, Paul, other people are saying as well, to be fair. It's like a disease, and it's happened more than 4 or 5 occasions now, even more. If you go back to Steve McKinney's time, maybe less so under Martin McCarthy, but particularly in the last 3 or 4 years at least, these are things that keeps happening, and I mean, they must know it, Paul, themselves. You know yourself when you can keep conceding goals either just before halftime or just after halftime. That's something that has to be spoken about in the dressing room, has to be spoken about in training. It says we have to be so focused now, so switched on, because it's becoming a trend, and you have to be able to stop it. Now, thankfully, in the Finland game, we stopped it because if it happened again, it would have been 2-0 because we went down 1-0 to Finland in the early parts of the game through a stupid mistake. And lucky enough, we didn't concede early in the second half of that game. Otherwise, it would be 2-0, wouldn't have any points at all in this window. So we could do it for the odd game, but it's happening far, far too often. I agree with you, it's happening far, far too often. And it has to be something that has to be quickly eradicated because we have Finland,